what taught me about signage for art booths at art fairs is having an art gallery in the mall. Now, I know it's a completely different sales venue for art, but bear with me here. So when I was selling my work in my gallery, my neighboring stores were Kay Jewelers and Victoria's Secret. And one of the biggest things I saw them do was constantly change out their promotional advertising on the front of their stores. So they had signs in the front of their stores saying that there was a particular sale, and they would change them out every week. And they had lots of people coming into their stores because of this, because people wanted to get the most amazing deals, the newest deal, the deal that was only there for 1 week. And since my gallery wasn't getting the foot traffic that I needed it to, I decided to take a learning lesson from them and then start running a different sale every week. I had signage out in the front of my store to get people to come in, and it really worked. And that's when I had my aha moment. Because at art fairs, if you think about it, we're all in a row, booth after booth. It's kind of like a mall, but on a smaller level and most of the time outdoors. And of course, we're all selling art. We don't have different types of stores. They're not like Victoria's Secret and then a jeweler and then an artist, but there are different types of art. So there's the jewelry booth, the wall art type booth, maybe the original paintings, the sculptors. So there are a variety of things that are art related, but it's very much like a mall where there's lots of people walking through, and then they decide whether they enter the booth based on what they see. And oftentimes when a person is walking by your booth, they may have a few seconds, maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds, maybe less, to make this decision of whether they will walk in your booth. And if they don't enter your booth, they are not going to be able to buy. And so what you want to do is create a situation that is very enticing and inviting for those people who are thinking about entering your booth, or who are maybe not even thinking about entering your booth, but subconsciously wanting something to do to entertain themselves. I know for me anyway, I often get impulse buys in my booth because my art prints are under $20 and they're fun little gifts. They're fun for people to give to their kids or decorate an office cubicle with, something that doesn't take much money to purchase. And so they will do it just because it makes them smile. And so I wanted to figure out a way to get more of those people to come in my booth, just like I had gotten more people to come into my art gallery. I also think it's important to point out here that I don't see a lot of artists focusing on signage. They are more focusing on hanging their art in a way that's very inviting and intriguing and pleasing to the eye. And that's important, so I'm not trying to take away from that practice. But what I am saying is you can supplement the beautiful display that you create with a little bit of targeted signage if you do it the right way. And it will really supplement the amount of people who come in your booth. And the more people that come in your booth, the more chances you have to sell. And so this is a win-win situation. And it's definitely helped out my booth and my traffic once I've instituted these couple of things. The first type of signage is a booth banner or booth sign. You can see here I have two different types that I have used over the years. The second one that says Animal Art Safari has been my most successful. I'd like to point out that I don't have my business name, which is Crystal Cole Fine Art, as the main text on my banner. I see a lot of artists do this. I think it's to reinforce their branding, or that's the theory behind it. But I don't think the average customer walking by really cares about your branding, honestly. They want something that's going to pique their interest. So that's why my banner, the Animal Art Safari, is so great, because people walk by and then they see some of my rainbow animal art on the front of my booth. And it makes them wonder what other animals I have painted, and they want to come in to browse. And this is a great segue for me to get them to look through my print bin, because I love to greet people and tell them hello, and then basically funnel them into my print bin as quickly as I can, because this way they'll start getting ideas for those impulse buys that I'm hoping they will eventually make. Next is advertising my deal, big and bold. You can see here on the front of my booth, I have the price of my prints displayed proudly, boldly, in a pretty nice size sign that people can see from 10 to 20, even 30 feet away. And time after time, this price pulls people into my booth. And this is because at art fairs, oftentimes prints are a lot more expensive than what I'm selling them at. And so for me, I know that this is a really good sales point, just the price alone. But if they see the Animal Art Safari sign, the beautiful animal art, and then the price, it's like a magnet of customers. I mean, they come over in droves, especially tween girls and families with children and people who have a particular animal that they want to see that I've painted. Let's say they have a Labrador and they want to see if I've painted one of their type of dogs. That said, you don't have to be an animal art themed booth to be able to implement these marketing tactics. This can work for anyone. Let's say you are a photographer and you photograph beautiful landscapes from around the world. You can come up with a title for your booth, like Landscape Explorations International. I don't know, maybe something even better than that. This is just something that I came up with off the top of my head, but you can come up with something that seems intriguing and makes a person wonder what else you have available in that booth for them to be able to explore. And if you don't sell affordable prints, think of some other way that you can put a price or something like a 2-for-1 deal, something that you can advertise on the front of your booth. This way you can craft an offer that'll really pull people in. Along with all of the benefits of doing this, there are a few downsides. First, not every event will allow you to have a big sign banner above your booth. Some of them want all of the booths to look the same, and so they're just the white dome tents, often the ones that restrict artists to selling only originals. And so if you are at one of those higher end, more prestigious shows, they might not allow you to have a booth banner. Another thing that shows often don't allow are big price signs, like the one I have on the front of my booth. I've actually had shows tell me that it was against the rules and I had to take it down. So if that happens, just be cool about it, take it down, say you're sorry, say you didn't know. And if it's in the rules ahead of time, which often it is, try to read the rules so you will know and you won't put up the sign in art fairs and locations that you're not supposed to. But I would say about 80% of the art fairs that I do allow all signs, and if you are in question, just ask the art fair coordinators prior to ever setting up your booth. That way you know the rules and you know that you're not breaking them, because you don't want to break the rules at these events. If you do, you stand the chance of not getting in the next year. The other downside is that I know the way I structure my booth and the way I advertise everything kind of irritates artists oftentimes that are in the shows around me, because they might be selling the same size print for twice as much money as I am. And so then when customers walk by and see how cheap it is at my booth, they wonder why these other people are charging so much. But honestly, it's on them. It's not on me. I mean, if they haven't figured out how to make the prints themselves so that way they can get their costs down to be able to sell prints at a similar price as I am, or if they're just being dishonest and they're jacking up their price insanely high because, well, they can, then, I mean, again, it's on them, it's not on me, so I don't let it bother me. But you might not like having other artists irritated with you by putting the big price sign out there, so keep that in mind. If you'd like to learn more about doing art fairs, watch this video. It'll save you some money on your next art booth setup. All right, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.